Welcome everybody to another exciting episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, your host as always, Andrew O'Hara. I'm pretty hyped for this episode, right? There's nothing crazy going on, but it's going to be a great, chill episode, kind of before things are going to start to get crazy. I've got a really couple fun, cool reviews to talk about on next week's episode. We're also looking at the Apple event coming up, so I'm going to do a little bit of a what to expect situation there. So next week, it's the beginning of the crazy, depending on how much smart home actually gets announced. Like, we can get HomePods, we can get Apple TV. That's going to dictate a little bit how crazy this show is going to get versus regular Apple Insider podcast, but still, I'm hyped personally because it's going to be a crazy fall. So let's go ahead and kind of jump into this episode here. I'm a little muted in terms of my energy. We actually threw a surprise party for my parents, mostly my mom. So happy surprise party, Mom, if you happen to be listening to this episode. But it was a lot. It took a whole lot of us out, a whole lot out of us to get everything together. So now, like, I'm exhausted a bit. We still got a podcast to do, and I'm still pretty jazzed to talk about some of these things. So let's roll right into this stuff. Starting out, just a little tag to content I've already put up on the YouTube channel, so go check it out if you're interested. But I did a full breakdown on all of the rumors surrounding Apple's smart home cameras. A lot of people seem to be gravitating towards it. Video is doing really well, including on short form. So just kind of plugging that. If you want to learn a little bit more, see some renders that we had done over at Apple Insider, go watch it. Please, I put a link for it in the show notes. You can check it out. You can also see like a shorter version over on like TikTok and Shorts. So whatever your preference happens to be, please go follow the TikTok too if you haven't already. We've been blowing up over there. Finally surpassed 20K. Really happy about that and pretty stoked to go into the Apple event with it. Okay, let's get into the more news that has been going on, starting out with Homey. Now, this is not going to mean anything to the US users, but Homey is launching energy monitoring, at least starting out in Europe. So this is kind of like what we've seen going on with Matter and with other things in Apple Home, but Homey is going to be able to tie in to your European power exchange, where you're getting your power from, and then show those rates and all that information, those dynamic energy prices within Homey. That way you can more intelligently do things in your home, like use your AC or your heat, charge your EV, run large appliances, everything like that. This, of course, really makes sense. We've already seen like Apple is starting to do this with their own back-end framework stuff that they're working on, like Energy Kit that is going to be coming out, but it's been really slow for actual like companies to come on board. So we will have to see how that plays out, but it is interesting that we're starting to see these features come to other platforms. This one just happens to be starting over in Europe. So if you're a Homey user, this is really cool. I cannot wait to actually start to use something like this in Apple Home. I think being able to see energy rates, like your consumption, how much prices are, like all that stuff, and throughout the day is really interesting and important to helping save you money. So I am all on board for this, and I want it to continue to expand for Homey and its users, as well as in Apple Home and Matter. We also have a little bit to talk about with Qi2.2. So Pixel is officially getting on board the MagSafe train, adding Pixel Snap technology to the new Pixel lineup. The new Pixel phones look really, really good. I've always said like there's like two Android phones that I like am particularly in love with. I've always liked the earlier Nothing phones. I don't like the new one as much, but I really like the Nothing phones, and I really like the Pixel line, like just that pure like Google energy poured into a phone. There's a lot to like about it on an Android side of things, and I think they did a really good job with these new Pixel devices, and they incorporated Pixel Snap, which is basically their branding on Apple's MagSafe and Qi2. I believe the most high-end phone has support for like Qi2.2 and 25 watts of charging, and the lower-end models have regular Qi2 20 or 15 watts of charging. So really interesting to see there. But specifically for Apple users, I told you, I think on last week's episode, I was able to confirm that yes, Qi2.2 support is coming to iPhone 16 with iOS 26. And now I can show you this, which is one of Belkin's new Qi2.2 chargers. This is their UltraCharge Pro 3-in-1. Once again, Plug City here. I did a full video breaking these down over on the channel, but honestly, the speed here is insane. I'm not going to hit this too much because I know some people don't like me to talk about Qi charging all too much. I know I keep throwing that in there too, but I think like the charging is really important to a lot of smart home devices, and with Apple standby mode and everything going on, I still end up including it as kind of like a smart device in the home. I'm just really interested in these, so they make it to the podcast. But this is the very first of its kind, the very first Qi2.2 charger to be released to market. It is supported on iPhone if you're running the beta of iOS 26. As far as the actual performance goes, I charged in the same time with this as I did using a USB-C cable. Yeah, reaching the 50% mark, it was maybe 5 minutes faster on the USB-C cable with a 45 watt brick. But over the course of the rest of the charge, they ended up at the same time reaching 100%. 25 watts of power here, guys. It's amazingly cool. The quality on this charger is very nice. So it has a very heavy weighted base. There is a metal, which is like, mine's like the slate color. So it's like a kind of like a darker graphite chromed silver going up for the arm, an Apple Watch puck on the back. Of course, supports fast charging because they are all fast charging now. Then the MagSafe Qi2 puck there on the front. It can go all the way flat for anything to charge that doesn't have magnets, or angled up. It is a 3-in-1, so you have the pad there, the Apple Watch puck, and then there's a tertiary Qi charger on the bottom for any additional devices like your headphones. And it does have active cooling. There are fans. I cannot hear them when they are turned on, but it has active cooling. It is important because with that fan turned off, it definitely took longer. In fact, it only got to 80%, then stopped because the temperature was, too high for it to continue charging without potentially damaging battery life. So I really like these. Find the full review up on the YouTube, linked in the show notes. But first official Qi 2.2 chargers, and I think the fact that these are reaching the speeds of a cable is crazy. You get the performance of a USB-C cable, but all the convenience and standby mode of wireless in Qi 2. So I'm very excited about these, and I know we're going to see a whole lot more. This is just the first of many, many to come, I am sure. Okay. Moving along in the news, it looks like GE has some new Cync Matter switches. There are 2 different ones. There's a multi-purpose one, kind of a general one, and then an additional one that is a dimmer. So the general one has additional buttons on there you can set to scenes, and then the dimmer, kind of a Matter dimmer switch. Only thing is, these don't appear to be launching until 2026. So it is news. It is worth covering. They've been announced, but unfortunately, that's something you can pick up recently. I actually really like the Cync line now they've gone in on Matter. It's funny how that works. I completely wrote off the GE Cync line originally. I mean, they didn't have HomeKit or Matter or anything, and they were going with like Bluetooth mesh or something in the early stages. I don't know. Then they just seemed like cheap products, in my opinion, because they were just very going with kind of like a lot of the mass market like shapes type of thing. But then when they came out like their under cabinet lights and really went in on Matter, I started to really turn around. Like they started to have some like high quality and different products that should be like checked out. And now here we have some actual good switches that are Matter enabled from the beginning. So really good to see. So we'll keep an eye on those to launch in 2026. Journey is launching a new Find My line. So this is part of their Locate, like LOC 8. But it's their universal line because it works not only with Apple's Find My app, but on Google's recently renamed Find Hub. So it's not Google Find My devices, it is Google Find Hub. But all 4 of these work with both. So you can pick up one item and it would work in either ecosystem, not at the same time, but either or. So it's mainly nice for manufacturers who can produce one product that'll work for everybody instead of having to make one for Apple, one for Google. One device can do either one. So the 4 devices include a laptop sleeve. There's the Urban Key Organizer. It looks like leather or faux leather, and then your keys go in the middle. They can pivot out. There's the Finder Fob 2 and the Finder Tag. Finder Fob 2 and the Tag a little similar, but the Tag is longer. I'm not sure if it just means it has a longer battery life or what. I couldn't tell a difference like spec-wise why 2 different ones exist. At least at a cursory glance, they both charge over USB-C. They both work with both. They just look very, very similar. One is just slightly longer than the other one is. So I'm not sure. Okay, I have one big kind of hands-on situation to get into for the rest of the episode. It is an air purifier that is a little bit different than a lot of the ones that I have tested. So before we talk about keeping your home clean, let's talk about keeping your computer clean. This episode is brought to you by CleanMyMac. I will be completely honest with all of you guys. I have used CleanMyMac for years. Years and years and years. And on top of that, I've actually met and spoke with at length developers behind CleanMyMac at WWDC. And they were fantastic, incredibly smart, and super passionate. And I feel like that passion comes through CleanMyMac. CleanMyMac is getting better with one of the biggest features that I could have even hoped for from a tool like this. So let's go ahead and back up. For those unfamiliar, CleanMyMac is an Apple notarized app for your Mac. So that means it's like signed off on by Apple, guaranteed to be safe. You put it onto your Mac and it's going to go ahead and do all these different things to help you out by helping like remove applications for you, run different scripts and maintenance stuff for your computer, help you find large storage items that are in there. You can remove clutter like old messages or languages that you don't use that are just stored on your computer. All of these things that helps your Mac run faster, smoother, gives you more storage, all of this stuff. I mean, even the simplest things like deleting applications. Now that's easy to do on a Mac, right? You just drag the app icon, you drag to the trash can, boom, you've uninstalled an app. Mostly, for most people out there, like that is fine, that's going to do the job, but there's also a ton of ancillary files that are just hanging around your computer that you probably didn't even know about. And when you drop something into CleanMyMac to uninstall it or choose it from the list, it actually goes around your computer and finds all the extra script files and database files, whatever else that it had installed on your computer, and gets rid of those at the same time. So if you're getting rid of an app that you don't want, you don't need those extra files just getting in there and clogging things and screwing things up. It just gets rid of all of them at the same time. So I use it for uninstalling apps. I also use it to find large amounts of clutter because you can kind of see where all the storage is on your computer and what you need to get rid of. But this feature right here is the one that I want to talk about. This is brand new. I had no idea this was a thing and I need it in my life. Cloud cleanup. Yeah, CleanMyMac will now help you clean up your cloud. It can sync with Google Drive, OneDrive, and for all of us Apple users, specifically iCloud. Yeah, this will sync to your iCloud and help you find where you have extra storage items. Like literally, it'll go through and pull different files and tell you where they are that you're not either using or that are really big. They can help free up your cloud space. Because like we've already like filled up our computers, right? And now we're storing everything into iCloud. I have the 2 terabyte plan, and then like for the family, and we have an additional like 2 terabyte plan on top of that we are paying for. It's like actually like $10 a month. And I'm not gonna lie, we're getting close to filling that up too. So you guys can bet your buns that I'm gonna be running this and checking out my iCloud storage and figuring out how we have somehow consumed nearly 4 terabytes of cloud space between my wife and I. So yes, I need this. I need this badly, and I'm so hyped that CleanMyMac is bringing this. There's Smart Care, there's Cleanup and My Clutter, there's a little menu bar assistant that is super helpful. There's a Moonlock anti-malware engine to help monitor that. It'll scan and remove viruses, ensuring your Mac remains threat-free. It does a lot of stuff. There's a lot to love about CleanMyMac, and this is just the latest version of it. So please, if you haven't, you gotta check it out. There is a really handy little discount that you guys can all get. You can try and get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code HomeKit, all uppercase, for 20% off at CleanMyMac.com/HomeKit Insider. You guys got that? So 20% off, code HomeKit at CleanMyMac.com/HomeKit Insider. HomeKit Insider is all one word, all uppercase. Check it out. Thank you to CleanMyMac for sponsoring the episode. We also have, once more per usual, Shopify doing the work that needs to be done by making it easy to get your business up and going and making it delightful for customers to be able to buy with ease, as well as buying safely, knowing that credit card and personal information is protected at the same time. I've actually been lucky enough to not have to spend any money this week, so I have not bought anything on a Shopify site this week. I know, it feels like I literally say every time, like I feel like every week goes by, I find a new site that uses Shopify, and I managed to not do it this week, which I'm hoping like everyone's clapping, like I didn't go on shopping spree or anything this week. But Shopify is amazing. So if you're someone who is looking to start a business, right, it's perfect because you don't have to have any extra knowledge. You don't have to know anything about shipping or taxes or anything like that, or how to build a website. You can just like pick a theme, pick a template, get your website going in just a few minutes and start selling anything. It can be knickknacks that you made in your garage. It can be digital files that you're selling. Whatever it happens to be, you can sell it through Shopify. Super easy to get up and going. But say you're growing a little bit, right? You're a little bit bigger now. Maybe you're starting to sell online, but you also have a little brick and mortar store, or you're doing little markets or something. Cool. Shopify can help with that too. You grew a little bit. It can now handle your inventory between a physical location and an online location. It can do things like ship to store for like store pickup. All of that is really handy to do. And say you're even bigger, perfect. It's going to take your business to the very next level. It's going to allow you to expand even further, adding custom plugins, adding things like protection on shipping orders, building fully custom websites that do everything that you needed to do for your very business. And you can get crazy. That's why so many companies use Shopify, from the itty bitty little ones that are just starting out to much larger ones. Moment, one of my favorite ones out there, Allbirds, Rothy's, Brooklyn, and Nomad, 12 South. Like there's a reason tech companies, like so many of these like startups and tech companies have used Shopify and then grown really well. And I gotta think that despite their products being exceptionally cool, the website and platform have gotta help with that. For customers, it's fantastic too. Really easy to check out. The sites are always beautiful. When you get to that checkout process, you recognize it, you feel safe, you know that you're not going to get taken advantage of and that you're not going to lose any of your information. You can check out with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Shop Pay, which is cool. Then you can track your order in the Shop app, as well as like their AI shopping guide that'll help you find even more cool stores to go shop at. I do it. So I get a lot of holiday shopping done, which we're getting closer to that somehow. So yeah, so check it out if you guys have not already. If you're starting your business, Shopify is the one that is going to help you do that. So turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for a $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/HomeKit. Go to shopify.com/HomeKit, all lowercase, shopify.com/HomeKit. Okay, let's get back into this. Let's wrap this episode. We're going to talk about the Dreame. How do you guys say this? Dreame. Is it Dreame or Dreame? Because I have heard people pronounce it both ways. And I'll be honest, I've talked to them like every year at CES, and I've never asked them how they even pronounce their name. But it's Dreame. Dreame? Dreamy? Dreame? I'm not sure, but you guys know the company I'm talking about. So it's Dreame Tech PM20 Air Purifier. Now there's two different versions. There's the PM20 and the PM10. If you're buying it through their site, they're basically the same price. There's like a $10 price difference. I'm sorry, hiccuped. The biggest difference between the two is the PM10 lacks heating abilities that we'll get back to. So I'd basically recommend getting the PM20 if they're still like on sale and basically the same price. So first things first, this thing is neither small nor normal looking, right? It is weird, it is wonky, and it is big. If you have a tiny apartment, this is not the air purifier for you by any means. I can give you a list of many others that would be fantastic. But if you were in a house, I'd say medium to larger size houses, this is something that you should listen up and kind of pay attention to. So the top of it almost looks like a ball, like it's a face, like there's a black dome that is at like an angle, and then there's a silver cowl around it. So it's kind of like a ball face on top of this thing. And then the body of it is a cylinder, but it sits at probably almost 3 feet tall. Not small at all. And it's got over a foot in diameter. So it is just a kind of a beast of an air purifier. The biggest one that I had before was the Blue Air 211i, I believe, which we'll talk about. And that was pretty big. This one is even bigger, but for good reason. It's not a ton bigger than that one, but it's bigger. Now, even though it's got this kind of crazy look, it's got a few perks that I really like. So the air is actually pulled in from the bottom and then it's forced out the top. There's 2 different modes, I believe. It can go kind of through the face hole area or outside around it. And it can do like both of them for more airflow, or for like directed airflow, can just come through the ball face cowl thing. And the idea is at an angle, so it can actually propel air about 10 meters away. So for like large rooms, it can really help that airflow by moving it far distances and not just kind of sending it out into the room right in front of it, which would cause it to kind of clean the same air. So if you have a bigger room, it's really beneficial to force that air further away and then to suck in all the air that is around it. It's going to really help improve that airflow. So that's kind of that with that general design. There's a small screen, I'd say 1 to 2 inches, not huge, in the middle of that black domed face on this thing, and it can show a bunch of different information. There's a ton of sensors in this, like 7 different ones. So PM1, PM2.5, PM10, I want to say, as well as VOCs and multiple other ones that I have not even seen measured on some of the other air purifiers. So it does a lot of different sensing inside of this, and it also has like temperature and humidity as well. Now, one of the things that I like is these filters last for like 2 years. It says I have 100%, I've been using it for a couple weeks now, it has 100% lifespan on the filters, and it's got like 700 plus days remaining, which is crazy. So that's the internal filter. And then there's a carbon filter as well, and that one says it'll last an entire year. Yeah, hold my beer. We're going to see about that, because you guys know we had a lot of pets. So that is crazy to me how long these filters last, and they're reasonable. Like the filter on the inside is $100 for a new set of them. There's like 2 of them, but it's 1 set. So one replacement is $100, and the carbon one is like $60. Not bad at all when it's lasting you 2 years and a year respectively. So I'm very happy with that. Technically, this has 4 layers of filtration. So like that metal cylinder, or the cylinder on the outside, that is like a magnetic one. It's going to help capture larger objects, hair, dust, debris, anything like that. Those bigger ones are going to get caught by that kind of pre-filter. Then when it gets on the inside, then it has a composite filter that's like your regular traditional, it's like an H13 filter. It's going to capture a bunch more of your air purifier stuff kind of going on. A lot of the things you need to catch in the air, your pollen, dander, all of those. Then it goes further into a carbon filter, so a separate carbon filter that's going to pull out more of like your pet odors and things like that. And your inner one is going to be a formaldehyde filter that's going to pull out any formaldehyde that could be potentially in your air. So for older homes especially, that can be important. So 4 stages of filtration on this one, and it catches a whole lot. Now, this thing has airflow, right? This thing will do a 7,500 square feet in only an hour. That is like an 86 by 86 foot room in an hour, which is very, very large. More reasonably, it can do 1883 square feet in only 15 minutes. I did just a few tests. Like we had smoke here. We've been cooking a lot on cast iron and things. You're like checking that there can be some smoke going on. This thing just vacuums it up. It is so quick in taking out that smoke, even compared to many of the other very good air purifiers that I had tested. Like it's kind of just like going to a new level. Like I'm testing these other ones. Oh, these are really good. I love this Blue Air one. I love this Molecule one. I love these other ones. They do an excellent job. And then this thing comes out and it's like, stands at the side. Let me do this. Just mass amounts of airflow, which is beneficial because it's quick in a moderate sized house like mine. But if you're in a larger house where you have a bunch of space, you need that airflow because you need to turn over that room. So it does well in those really big spaces as well as medium spaces. So I really like the airflow aspect of it, especially that 10-meter forward projection of that air. It also has a comfort mode, basically dead silent. I could barely even hear it. Would be great for bedrooms and nighttime, everything like that. Technically, they say this has 3 different modes. It's got a fan, so I just use it as a regular fan. It's got a air purifier mode, so use that as an air purifier. And then it's got a heater, which is super cool. You can heat your house up to, I think, 104 degrees is like the temperature you can set on there. But yeah, you're in winter, you want to turn this on and turn it into a space heater. It can do that too. There's not a lot of air purifiers that are also space heaters. There are some, Dyson has them, I know a few others do, but there's not a ton of them. But I really like that. I think that's really handy to be able to do all of that with one device. So that's an extra benefit to this. And space heater ones can get very expensive. I know the one that my parents ended up getting that was like an air purifier and a space heater, not cheap by any means. So I think that definitely plays into the price tag on this thing. It also really is good for pets. They have a whole pet mode that does really well with removing pet odors, and I think for us, that is one of the killer features. We have so many pets in this house, 3 cats, 3 dogs, multiple humans. We have the bunnies. We have a lot of things that can make smells. So the fact that this is able to do that and do things like pet mode with a really long lifespan, that really intrigues me. A lot of the other ones, I feel like, it's like, oh yeah, we'll do a pet mode, but they're like smaller, compact units. Like the Milo one, I think that's really great for smaller homes, and they even have like ones for pets, but you have to replace those filters pretty frequently. I can't say, that this thing is going to be as good in 6 to 8 months like it says it's going to be, but if it is, I'm absolutely on board with it. So I think that is really interesting with this, and I think it's going to do a good job. So far, it's done an excellent job keeping pet odors out, so hopefully that continues. Now, this thing is pretty expensive, like north of $700 when it is on sale. But all things considered, I think Dreame did an excellent job with their first air purifiers. So really what is setting this thing apart? Heating plus air purification. 2 things at once, 3 if you count the fan, which is just, who's going to turn on fan mode? Just turn on air purifier mode unless you want to bypass the filters for some reason. But frankly, it can act as a purifier and a heater at the same time. That's a benefit. It has specific pet mode with really high airflow, also great. It can even do things like AI, like it can detect when somebody is coming into the room with like a motion sensor or a PIR sensor, and then it will follow them around with the air. Like it literally can oscillate and will keep you smelling the cleanest air. And if there are multiple people in the room, it'll oscillate to cover the entire room. So there's literally like an AI follow mode that you can use on this, which is pretty cool. I do like that it oscillates in general because a lot of air purifiers won't. So this, again, a nice benefit of being able to get in that air, throw it farther away, keep cleaning what's around while moving that air at the same time. So I think that's just really beneficial to overall turning over the air in the room and keeping everything smelling clean and fresh. It has a voice assistant built in, so you can say like, okay, Dreame, turn on the air purifier or set the temperature to, 80, whatever it happens to be, but you can do that with this air purifier. Now, when we're talking about like how much airflow this actually gets compared to other models, it is a lot, right? Price-wise and airflow-wise. But the one that I like a lot that I've been using is the Blue Pure 211i Max. Good size, good airflow. This one does 3,200 square feet in an hour. That is less than half of what this one is claiming to do. Less than half, because this one does, again, whatever I said. What was that number? 7,500. Yeah, so more than double what that one is doing. So that one does not rotate, lacks as many sensors, does not have a carbon layer, does not move as much air, doesn't have a voice assistant built in, doesn't do heating, if I didn't say that already, and it's roughly half the price. So for double the price, you get the heating, you get moving, you get the voice assistant, you get more sensors, you get better filters, carbon filtering, a lot of things I think make up for that. So I think both of these are good values for what they are. I don't think everyone needs a $700+ air purifier and heater, but I think Dreame did a very good job at making a compelling product that kind of packs a lot of useful features into one. Obviously, the big downside for us as Apple users is going to be lack of Apple Home or Matter support. I really wish that would be there. Dreame has been adding it to other products, or is promising to add it to other products, so maybe it'll come to this eventually, but that's the biggest downside for me right now. Honestly, I've been keeping it on the auto mode, and there's also an included remote, which is also really handy too. So I just use it on the auto mode and the follow mode. It either oscillates when there's multiple people or kind of just keeps it at you, which is super handy. And I'm excited to try this out in the winter as things get chillier. So if you're interested, there's a link in the show notes for it. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about that or anything else on the show, or you want me to answer on the next episode, which again, going to be really cool, be sure to let me know. You can write me at andrew@appleinsider.com. You can leave a note on the video version of this podcast, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider, which I feel like this is going to be another laggy episode, and I have no idea why it is doing that. So I hope that it's not, but if it is, it's still Riverside. I cannot figure it out because nothing has changed other than Riverside keeps getting updates and now my video lags. So, I'm sorry, I need to figure something out, and I don't know what other options there are out there. But you can leave comments on YouTube, so youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. You can also find me on Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, all the socials. Usually Andrew_OSU or something similar to that. Otherwise, thank you guys as always for listening, and I'll catch you all in the next episode.